So it's been a year and a few months since I mentioned anything Switch Pro related. And I am so glad I didn't make countless videos over all the Switch Pro rumors that were floating around. So things are starting to settle and we are getting a better picture of the situation. A Bloomberg article was released and it stated that Nintendo was opting to buy 720p OLED displays from Samsung. Now, I'll get into a little more detail about that later, but this video is really about the communities, social media, YouTube, how people are reacting to this information. I find it a tad startling because essentially people are convincing themselves that Nintendo is choosing performance over resolution. I feel like just because you want something, that doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. And I think if you pay attention to the history of Nintendo, you understand exactly what motivated them to make the choices they are making right now. So let's just jump right back to where we were. A Bloomberg report stated that Nintendo is planning on purchasing rigid 720p OLED displays from Samsung. Now, production for a new Switch is happening sometime in the middle of this year. Reaction to all this has been mixed for the most part. I would say no one is really enraged. Either you're okay with this because it's an OLED screen, or you were disappointed because you were hoping it was going to be 1080p. And now I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I am a tiny bit disappointed it isn't a 1080p screen. But the first thing to keep in mind about all of this is half the games on the Switch right now, in portable mode, half of them are hitting 720p. So that's something to think about already. And then jumping into a 1080p screen and we're not even hitting that 720p. Choosing an OLED display. Vita fans can attest to this. The original Vita the screen looks better than the LCD. Now it's not drastically better, but it is better. So that is pretty much the gist of the Bloomberg report. As far as the guts of the new Switch model, we still have a bunch of question marks there. So now that you have the background of the story, now we can get to the purpose of the video. Like I said at the beginning, I have read numerous comments all over social media. They are rationalizing that the resolution can stay the same so long as they get their beautiful, crisp 60 frames per second. And let me break this down for some of you. Nintendo is a very conservative Japanese business. And I don't mean conservative in the political construct, but in the very definition of the word conservative. Every single generation, well, let's scratch that. We'll say almost every generation of a console/handheld, Nintendo has sold at a profit. Now, the exception would probably be, at least the one that I'm aware of, would be the 3DS. Originally, it came out, it was $250, and then at some point, they realized sales are not meeting expectations, so they did a huge slash on it, and also gave some games for free. But this is the exception, not the rule. They didn't go with these OLED 720p displays because they are more focused on performance. They picked those because they know there is a visible difference between OLED and LCD. And the prices of these displays have lowered. It would have cost more to purchase a 1080p screen. Now, Nintendo is a risk taker, for sure. In terms of finding like a unique or creative way to play games, that's them, absolutely. But they aren't going to take risk in terms of how much money they are spending on a product. I feel as if these people believe, hey man, we did it, boss. We made a handheld beast of a machine. The drawback is that, well, we're gonna have to sell it and break even, man. And I hope you're okay with that. But it's for the fans, man. It's for the fans. This is what the fans want. It's like, okay, that's a cute, adorable story, but that's not in reality. I think people see the extreme lengths that Microsoft is going through to win back people. They assume every company has this side. But let's come on, let's call a spade. Nintendo isn't in the same position as Microsoft. They don't have to do anything. In fact, the Switch is killing it right now. Now, speculation time. So best case scenario would be this up and coming Switch is a Switch Pro, and there'll be a mini price cut for the original. Let's say they knock off $50, and then they sell this beefier model for like $350. I would say that's best case scenario. Less bezel, slightly better screen, upscaled 4K when docked, and slightly better performance. Because the type of performance people are expecting from Nintendo, it's gonna cost them like $500. And Nintendo's not gonna do that. It's not happening. If the complete opposite of what I'm saying happens, I will have no problem owning up to that. In fact, if I am wrong, I would be excited that now I am gonna have a sexy beast of a machine on the go. I don't think that's gonna be the case though. You know, obviously, portions of this are filled with my opinions and speculation. Just look up Nintendo's history. The new 3DS and the Nintendo DSi did have some hardware improvements, but not to the level of a complete overhaul. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I have said numerous times, I never expect people to agree with everything I have to say. I want to grow this community into a place where discussions over, the business side of gaming, conversations of the specs and performance stuff like my Cyberpunk video, where we can talk about those type of things. I also want to do, conversations over deep philosophical anime. But however, I also want to have fun and talk about dumb, tacky anime as well. And you know what I mean. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. I don't think I'm asking too much. Anyways, take care, my friends, and I will see you in the next video.